Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Thomas. Tonight we're back here with the Green Scorpion. Tonight, to wrap up the, Weapons Month again, we got 11 more Weapon Masters. So, the ones that we missed, or basically these are the ones that just missed out on the, the original count. Whether the Boomerangs, the Elementals, you know the drill. Basically, these guys just missed the cut. So, let's see who just barely missed out. Be sure to like, subscribe for more. Hope you enjoy. Let's go. And also, I did miss this one, so someone started a flame war. Oh. Here we go. Shall we?
Hello everyone, the Green Scorpion here.
Yep.
Now let's talk about Weapons Month.
Here we go.
Ah yes, Weapons Month. Good times, good times. It started as a simple theme month, but we were so full of ideas that we just had to do it a second time. And by the
then a third.
A third.
And a fourth.
Then by popular demand, we changed it up and did an Elements themed fourth month. Well, after taking a year off, it's my pleasure to announce that I'll probably be waiting another year before coming back to this. But let's get a few things straight here. After 4 months and 21 total weapons, a lot of people have said that I should stop the whole Weapons Month thing because A, I'd run out of ideas for weapons, and B, because it would just get old. Well, point A couldn't be further from the truth. I've brainstormed about possibilities for future weapons lists, and in my notes, I have enough research to construct 30 more weapons lists. I'm not exaggerating.
Really?
Point B does have some merit to it. Too much of a good thing would ruin Weapons Month, and there's just other stuff that I want to do.
the gaps.
So I decided to put Weapons Month 5 as a milestone goal on Patreon. That way it gets some time to breathe, and we can know for sure when the demand for it is actually present. In the meantime, I had a lot of fun with Monster Month, and as you know, Patreon Month is just around the corner. But just because the weapons are sheathed doesn't mean that we can't sharpen them a little. Just before Weapons Month 3, I released a pseudo countdown called 10 More Weapon Masters, which featured a new character for each of the lists from Weapons Months 1 and 2. Today, we're gonna catch up by giving 3 and 4 the same treatment. I'm proud of all my countdowns, but I'll be the first to admit that they're not perfect. And I don't fully encompass every great candidate of a chosen weapon or element. Whether it's from a game I just recently played, one that came out after the list, a character I'm reconsidering, or one that I just plain forgot the first time around, these mentions of honor deserve recognition. 2 things to consider.
Shall we?
First, I want to keep the 1 per franchise rule, so if the original list had a character from League of Legends, I can't use another character from League. Sorry, Talia. Second,
Then again, you had a lot from League of Legends.
Best, nor do they mean that the bottom entry of each list is denounced. They're just characters who probably could have been somewhere in the original. There's much to do in so little time, so sit back and enjoy 11 more Weapon Masters.
Right into next week.
Here we go.
I've traveled back in time from next week. Please stop throwing monsters at us.
First up, the Boomerang.
In my 6 years of making countdowns, I have never seen such a unified comment section. How could I exclude Ty the Tasmanian Tiger from my top 10 Boomerang
Tasmanian
wielders?
Tiger?
I knew who he was, but I had no idea he was so popular. My only memory of him was that Nintendo Power really hated a GBA game. From what I can see from the PS2 title, you guys are right, he was made for this list. But I still
again, played
the
it.
game. Well,
Remember,
there's my
when games he
acknowledgement,
played.
at least. So instead, I'm going with my top honorable mention for that list, known simply as the heir to the throne of the roaming Rulo, leader of the space pirate band known across the universe as the Gaizok, Prince Vorkin.
Oh,
It just doesn't feel
the one
right
for
unless you say
101.
the whole thing. Vorkin is introduced as a doppelganger to Wonder Red, which is weird because they really don't have much to do with each other. His actual backstory is that he's the prince of a destroyed planet who ended up working for the people who destroyed it. There's a whole sappy backstory in there, but if you want the cliff notes, he's basically Vegeta. He leads a 100-strong battalion of the galaxy's strongest warriors, and uses them to create powerful hard-light constructs identical to those used by the Earth's heroes. More powerful even, because while he seems to have a check for all of the 100's weapons, he also adds in some new
where's the
ones,
boomerang?
including his personal instrument of war,
there it is.
the Unified Boomerang. When I first saw this while fighting him, I thought he had somehow weaponized the Unite glider, but it's actually a razor-sharp boomerang that gets bigger and stronger the more followers he pours into it. You eventually get to try the baby yourself, and it's a little wonky to control, but it's hard to ignore the sheer devastation it causes. He didn't make the original list, mainly because it feels like he's wielding all of the unifying morphs in boss battles, but credit where credit is due.
True.
This guy rides through space, slicing through an enemy armada from atop a giant boomerang made out of people. That's gotta be worth something.
You ain't wrong. Cool. Next up, the spells. Next up, spellcasters.
The tough part about top 10 spellcasters was the 1 per franchise rule. I picked
No
one
kidding.
character from Final Fantasy, and hundreds of others were disqualified. Same with Kingdom Hearts, League, Fire Emblem. So
Basically,
let's
all the
dive into
magic
one of my
stuff were
recent
already
RPG
taken,
discoveries,
so-
Shining Force. Shining Force gives you 3 choices.
Oh
for
yeah,
your
wasn't it
army's
the one that
offensive
had charged
mage,
by a
each
sunlight or
maxing out
something?
a different elemental spell.
Huh.
So you can go with Tao with her Blaze spell, Henri with her Freeze spell, or Aleph with her Bolt spell. All decent choices.
So where's this going?
Unless you happen to find that egg in Monarena, which hatches into Domingo, the only choice for a mage.
Really?
Shining Force has
What's
its
his
fair
deal?
share of overpowered characters. Need I mention Xylo again? But with Domingo, there's no argument. He's literally the best. He can practically beat the game himself. First
Really?
of all, he learns D-Soul, which has a chance of sucking out a target's soul and knocking them immediately from the battle. Not bad at all. But for more reliable damage, his only options are his freeze spells. He learns them to max level just like Henri does. From the huge AoE
Yikes,
freeze
look at him.
3 to the curb stomping single target freeze 4, and he
Huh.
has a higher MP pool, so Henri can just go home. Before you start thinking he's just a cryomancer though, in the game's sequel
Oh, yeah, we
Shining
got
Force
Electro.
CD, Domingo returns with Blaze and Bolt spells under his hat. Is that a hat? What
Probably,
is he
I don't know.
exactly? Like a jellyfish nautilus kind of thing?
Eh,
Well, due to
could
his
be like a
thicker bone
Mimikyu. I
structure,
don't know.
his defenses are off the charts, with almost all physical attacks on him reduced to 1 damage.
Really?
If you
Only
want to
one?
give some other units a chance though, he can also cast Muddle to debuff enemies or Boost to help allies, making him paramount for leveling late bloomers like Blue or Atom. So what we
Huh.
have here is an uber powerful caster / tank with support skills. Anything else?
Dang.
Yeah, he flies! He freaking flies! I guess one of the programmers really hated this game because Domingo breaks it wide open.
Probably why it's not really used as often. Alright, Poison's next.
There are a few good choices here, but my new favorite practitioner of poison has to be the Hamlet's own Plague Doctor.
Oh
And
yeah,
yes,
Darkest
I did consider
Dungeons.
Plague Knight, but he's more of a bombardier, really. You might be
Yeah,
thinking,
fair.
did Darkest Dungeon steal this design from Shovel Knight? What are the
Mm.
odds of 2 hooded, bird-faced people with plague in their name? Well, if you didn't know, plague doctors were an actual thing in 17th century Europe.
The
They
Black
were
Death,
usually
everybody.
amateur physicians who documented epidemics and, if they could, treated patients. But even though they helped both the rich and the poor, it's hard to find any comfort in an enigmatic figure like this. The beak-like protrusion is usually filled with herbs to filter out the diseased air, but all it really does is
The
just make
miasma
him look
theory.
terrifying. If you saw a group of these in town, you knew you were screwed. Really though, that's how the creatures of the dungeons should feel when Plague Doctor gears up. Unlike most real-world Plague Doctors, this lady is no amateur. Yes, it's a lady, I looked it up. Her main thing is status effects, particularly the Blight effect. Sure, other classes like the Grave Robber and the Abomination have access to Blight, but the good doctor has multiple ways of dishing it out, hitting the front row with pulses of miasma or peppering the back row with noxious grenades. That damage over time is invaluable against some of the game's bosses, and while it's a little situational since the creatures of the Warrens tend to resist it, Plague Doctor absolutely dominates the undead in the ruins. She has poisons that kill the undead. Aside from a scalpel that can
Let's see
inflict bleed damage, all of her attacks are based on various concoctions, from blinding smoke to a disorienting blast that can stun enemies and shuffle their formation. Not only does she bring illness, she can also cure it, both in battle and in her camping abilities. I'm not sure where she got her degree, but these are desperate times, and we didn't have time for a background.
That's the times.
Just
There's some
don't
madness.
let her get too stressed out. She gets a bit unpleasant when she's stressed.
I mean, considering you're dealing with a person that's able to inflict blight, I'm gonna be like, Okay, yeah, we make sure she's healthily and sane. Otherwise, she's gonna poison us in our sleep. But you know it's true. So yeah, with that beak, no wonder there's an SCP. You know, the plague doc, the pestilence. Speaking of which, check out Rec Reel after this. You'll see why. Anyway, speaking of which, next up, the painter's back. You missed out on this one.
The Inklings.
Ah,
I mean,
of course.
why even build this one up? They would have been an obvious choice for the original list if Splatoon had come out just a little bit earlier, which is probably how Smash Brothers felt too. You probably know the gist by now, since Nintendo won't shut up about these games, but the Inklings are half kids, half squids that battle in a refreshing take on the arena shooter genre. Their weapon of choice, their only weapon really, specially colored ink that hurts
Yeah, just
everyone
keep
that
them out of the
isn't
water.
the
They don't
same
like that.
color. How the Inklings spread their ink, however, is the fun part. Water pistols, sniper rifles, umbrellas that morph into shotguns, shower hoses, miniature washing machines, and grenade-like balloons that leave a neon trail of conquest in their wake. The Inklings have dozens of ways to fill their opponents with lead-based enamel, but more interesting is their focus on area control. That's the real point of the turf war.
Yeah, hence turf war.
Each weapon spreads a thick film, and the more of your color you see, the more mobility you have. When standing in their own color, the Inklings can
they could dive down to become a squid.
Zooms across surfaces, climbs up walls, and blends into the floor for a monochromatic ambush. I'm not sure how this ink would affect opponents outside of the Splatoon universe, but I have a feeling by Smash 5 we'll have an answer.
Yeah, you'd be surprised it increases damages. Anyone? Martial artist?
Top 10 martial artists was a doozy, and naturally left out some big hitters. I had a lot of people asking me to include Astura, but the idea of the original list was people who have no weapons or powers, aside from maybe Ki and Mystic Karate stuff. Being a multi-armed deity kind of wrecks the curve.
Ooh,
maybe sometime I should try a superpowered version of that list, I don't know. But for now, we want the extraordinary ordinaries. Weighing in at 107 pounds,
Little
it's
Mac!
Little Mac. He was always a consideration. This scrappy New Yorker of below-average height managed to brawl his way through towering behemoths, some of which have superpowers, and a few of them are just straight-up cheating. But his inclusion in Smash 4 is what sold me. He really does nothing but punch, but somehow gets by using only the fundamentals of boxing and his own iron will. He's faster than a speeding bicycle.
He ain't no air fighter.
Truck, ducking and weaving through projectiles with overwhelming calculated ferocity. He easily became one of my mains, even if he can't jump for beams. He reminds me a lot of Saitama from One Punch Man. He's got all of these colorful adversaries with super speed and healing soda, but he wins the day with consecutive normal punches. He just took something really simple and got really good with it. Your mileage will vary based on how good you are at Punch-Out.
Don't fear the man that practiced 1,000 moves once. Fear the man that practiced one move 1,000 times.
His world, I figured he wouldn't stand a chance against characters like the Black Baron. But now that he's in Smash Brothers, I'm not so sure anymore.
Considering who he launches, you know, DK, Bowser, K-Rool nowadays, yeah, good luck.
Believe it or not, I really try not to be biased. If a character doesn't make the cut, they don't make the cut. Which is why, as close as he was, I excluded Scorpion, my mascot, my namesake, from top 10 Pyromancers. I think you guys were more upset than I was, honestly. It doesn't help that his nemesis Sub-Zero was the top Cryomancer. It's not that Scorpion isn't formidable.
Seems kind of a redundant
one, but crowded element. And Scorpion never seemed as marred to his themes as characters like Tremor or Raiden. But you know, Mortal Kombat X
he's more of a
really
weapons guy.
He still got his sword and his famous rope dart. But in MKX, 2 of his 3 variations are devoted to flame.
Yeah, Inferno.
Inferno for burning the body, and Hellfire for burning the soul. And also the body. Since his death at the hands of Sub-Zero and subsequent resurrection by Quan Chi, Hanzo's station as a Phantom of the Netherrealm has some white-hot perks, including throwing fireballs, combustive teleportation, a skeletal head that breathes fire, and the ability to pull people into hell where he's 10 times as powerful. And now he can summon demons who are also on fire. The notable thing is that for a fire-based character, Scorpion has a surprising emphasis on holding or moving opponents. You don't normally see that with something so immaterial as fire, so Scorpion uses his physical body, or those of his minions, to do what the fire can't, covering the element's inherent weaknesses. If you get in close, he'll use his flame aura to punish you, and if you stay away, he'll pelt you with fireballs. The safest option is to stand at the mid-range, where he'll promptly kunai you and pull you into close range.
Yeah, basically, there's no
Provides
escaping
more
his
factors
reach.
compared to my other pyromancers, but the weapons and fire synergize way too well for me to punish. I mean, the
Fair.
guy's already been punished enough. Glad to finally get you on a
poor
weapons list,
Scorpion.
buddy.
Next, stairs.
I thought air would be the hardest element to write for, but it turns out that there's a lot of them. For example, Capcom decided to play a little joke on me by revealing their new character Rashid on the same freaking day I released Top 10 Aeromancers. I don't know why you're trolling my channel, Capcom, but if you want to talk, just hit me up. I have a lot to say about Infinite's roster. Anyway,
moving
Rashid,
on.
the dude from Dubai, is actually a really cool representative of the Arabian Peninsula. Right down to his passion for
By the
the
way,
latest
seeing him
technologies. The whole
for Street
struggle
Fighter
with
6,
wind
it'd be
theme
kind of cool to
ties so
see him
neatly
again.
Not only to his UAE
Let me double check.
heritage, but to his personality and my previous description
the free
of the
spiller.
Aeromancer symbolism. Rashid's connection to wind is most likely a connection to the Shamal winds, a regional climate feature from his homeland which can regularly reach up to 50 miles per hour. Somehow he's harnessed this power for his own personal use. Like most Street Fighters, he loves nothing more than to make new friends and trade punches with them. His spree takes him all around the world, with his hapless servant Azam right on his heels, trying to keep him out of danger. I wouldn't worry too much about him though. His name
he's
may
good.
mean
Rashid.
of sound mind, and the wiki may describe him as laid back. I mean, I guess that's true. He doesn't take things too seriously. But in
He's got
battle,
that
the
tech
guy
eye patch,
never
so it
stays
makes sense.
still. His fighting style can be best described as parkour, with his destination being the other guy's face. And he achieves this with a flock of bird-themed kicks and dives. Flap spin, eagle spike, beak assault, and his tornado fuel critical art, Altair. This comes from the star Alpha
Really?
Aquila. In Arabic, the star's name is Al-Nisr Altair, which translates to the Flying Eagle. That's a nice tidbit for you Assassin's
Altair.
Creed fans too. He's not one to stay in one place, but I really hope we see Rashid in future installments of the series. I like this
I'll
guy,
double
Capcom.
check that.
Please don't rotate him out like Q or Sean.
Amen. Yeah, I'll admit, if he was back, I definitely would. I feel like I would play him, you know, as a character. You know what I meant, right? But like I said, we're gonna have to wait. Anyway, I think we're down to the final four, which should be water, earth, electro, and ice. Let's wrap it up. At least if I remember correctly. Next up, water.
This next one has a bit of a story behind it.
Good.
In 2011, a fan of Super Smash Bros. Named Dan Fornes released a demake called Super Smash
Smashland.
which simulates how the game might feel on an original Nintendo Game Boy. It's pretty cool, and
yeah,
though
with
predictably
Vaporeon,
smaller
Mega Man,
scale, includes
Mario,
the big
Kirby,
names
Link,
of
and
Mario,
Peach?
Kirby,
Or Pikachu.
Link, and unlockable Mega Man, and oddly enough, Vaporeon. Well, that's kind of random, but pretty awesome.
They count.
Vaporeon mixes up the roster with the strange ability to create puddles and teleport to them. I'm thinking this is inspired from Vaporeon's
Yeah, the
Pokédex
whole-
entries that say it can melt invisibly into water, which was never used too much. I guess that's what the move
True.
Acid Armor does, but who the heck other than Muck runs Acid Armor? It was done maybe once in the anime, but overall it's just a weird detail. I mean, it's not like
Yeah.
Flareon can actually turn into fire. Sorry, back on topic.
Yeah, moving
Dan
on.
Fornes followed up on Super Smash Land
Oh.
with an original IP, the beautiful, combo-based Rivals of Ether. And
Huh.
I really wish I knew about this game during Elements Month, because it's got
Oops.
a character for every flavor, not the least of which is the quadrupedal killer whale
Orcane.
named Orcane. Not hard to see the influence from Vaporeon, but the
Okay,
website
yeah, Super
bio
Smash Land's
also
definitely
refers to
here.
him as a playful trickster. That has got to be a reference to Fizz. It'd be a really weird coincidence if it isn't. Orcane feels like what would happen if Game Freak actually did stuff with the Vaporeon liquid form idea. His neutral special lobs some globs that create puddles on the ground, and he can do all kinds of mind games with it. Teleport to escape a fallout, detonate it remotely into a bubbly trap, or if he stands on the puddle, he can consume it to perform smash attacks of greater range and power. It's a
Damn.
little bizarre to watch, but I
That an
would
eagle?
happily invite this land shark in for a bite. As for the rest
This
of this
don't
game,
get bit.
Man, it figures those lists weren't top 20s.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Okay, Earth's next. I think we're done with the final 3.
I know there are better geomancers I could use here, but something's always fascinated me about Bouldergeist, a boss from Super Mario Galaxy. I guess it's just because I've always liked ghosts. As you probably know, Ghost is my favorite
Morty.
Pokemon type, but I've always wondered why there isn't a ghost rock Pokemon yet. Well, because
I mean, you
Nintendo
got
already knows
Golurk,
the
so
design
you're
of this
good.
guy. Mario launches himself to this seemingly desolate planetoid, and suddenly the boss of Ghostly Galaxy emerges, encasing himself in the cobblestone floor,
Actually, is Golurk
trying to
Rock
crush
Ghost?
Mario with
I gotta
giant
look that up.
granite hands and telekinetically flinging rocks at him. There's also unused animations in this game's code of him sinking in and out of the ground, which would have been really cool to see in the final game. He reminds me a lot of Bogmire from Luigi's Mansion, which makes way too much sense here. I mean, we never got an explanation on this thing. Is Bogmire from space? Is he the reason the mansion was haunted? Too bad he wasn't a geomancer. Luigi would have been SOL. Mario manages to penetrate the creature's hull only because Bouldergeist is kind of an idiot and keeps summoning these explosive boos. Once
How
the
do you even
rocks are
summon
blasted
those
away,
things?
He's just a goopy mound of ectoplasm.
Get
Super
it?
Mario Galaxy was never lacking for creative ideas, and while most of the bosses are pretty memorable, this guy, easy as he is a definite standout. No wonder they brought him back for the sequel for the reunion boss rush. I just feel like there's some untapped potential for this design still. I'd love to see him
Again,
as a
might want
boss
to take it
in
up
Mario
with
and Luigi.
Bowser, since I'm
Or
pretty
if
sure
you
he
want
hired him.
Nintendo, you could reveal this as a cameo and make Bouldergeist a Gen 8 Pokemon. I'm totally okay with that. Heck, maybe make a couple of pre-evolutions too. I'm thinking Pebblegeist and Cobblegeist. Just think on it and get back to me.
Again, just look up Golurk, you're good. Anyway, electricity, almost there.
Now here's one you might have heard of. Azure Striker Gunvolt.
Oh yeah.
I was often
Gunvolt.
asked if I would have considered GV for Electromancers, and now that I've played the first game, you're geckin' right I would have. Gunvolt is what you would call an adept, a metahuman with a special power. In his case, he can generate electrical fields around himself. Though he was experimented upon by the sinister Sumeragi group, he was saved by a band of freedom fighters known as Quill, and worked with them for a few years before going solo as a mercenary, fighting the good fight against Sumeragi without having to strictly adhere to Quill's mission parameters. He still mostly does Quill's dirty work, but at least he has his own apartment now, complete with a psychic roommate who can resurrect him. But that's beside the point. How's his power? Well, he's basically like playing Kennen from League, but in a side-scrolling adventure. He can generate a field to do minor damage to those around him, or to slow his
But
descent in
they
magnetic
also act as
body.
conduits for his
He
electricity.
also carries around one of several volt guns to do minor electrical
Like so,
damage
see?
and tag foes. Once tagged, Gunvolt's static field will home in on them from anywhere, and the damage it does will multiply the more tags he's placed on them. So the gun is the positive, the field is the negative, and their death is the natural balance.
Pretty much.
Simple, but oh so effective. His very walk cycle is surging with sparks and afterimages. Not to mention, with the right equipment, he's practically invincible, so long as he doesn't run out of juice. Which, admittedly, is all the time. Fortunately, he can refill anywhere as long as he has some solid ground and a half second to compose himself. You constantly need to stop and recharge, but you'll have a ton of fun once you do. Kinda like a 3DS, which is fitting because that's the best way to play these games.
Fair enough. You're wrong there. And finally, the ice.
We can make a difference again. The world needs us now, more than ever.
Hey, May.
Are you with me?
Yes, Weezin. I am with you.
Why are you so adorable?
Yeah, don't
It's
get in
fun
her way,
to get
though.
an Overwatch character on a weapons list, but out of everyone, I never thought it'd be Mei. With all these cyborg ninjas and Class A snipers running around, Mei is unassuming in comparison. But then again, fighting wasn't her original trade. She's first and foremost a climatologist who has been studying the rapid changes in the planet's environment. Working with Overwatch, she established several watch points for collecting data, and did much of her research in Antarctica. Things didn't work out too well for her though. An unrelenting snowstorm trapped the team in their lab, and to save on supplies, they all cryogenically froze themselves until someone could answer their distress beacon. That was the plan, but the storm knocked out the power, killing all of the other cryogenic sleepers and leaving
Except
Mei
for Mei.
sequestered. But May's not one to lose hope, and she repurposed her cryogenic technology into an endothermic blaster, basically Mr. Freeze's freeze ray,
Nice.
fixed the base's radio tower, and trudged all the way back to civilization to rejoin Overwatch. And boy am I glad she did! Granted, May isn't an easy character to play if you like racking up kills. Most of the time if you pick her, players will assume you're trolling. And fairly so, May is an incredibly gifted troll thanks to her impassable ice walls. Alright, the battle is starting! Ice wall!
Yeah, no.
It's also kind of messed up that she uses this as a weapon after she herself lost all of her friends and the last 9 years of her life to a snowstorm. But hey, you
Awkward.
work with what you know. She can even cryogenically freeze herself in battle for protection and healing. If I were her, I wouldn't even want ice in my lemonade, let alone go around freezing myself. And
Yeah, I'd
while
be
she does
pissed too.
suffer a bit in team fights, if she can isolate a target, she has a pretty good chance of overwhelming them with disabling freeze blasts and razor-sharp icicles. She'll even use her robot Snowball to create a little global cooling, and if the duel's not going well, she can ice snap until her friends come to help her. That didn't really work in Antarctica, but hey, law of averages. Whether breaking the ice with enemies or helping her team with a payload, this warm-hearted cryomancer is one indomitable snow lady. So, now that our weapons
That's
lists
it.
are all evenly weighed with 11 entries each, let's look to the future.
Shall
As
we?
I said earlier, Weapons Month 5 is the pipeline. It'll be a return to form for the series, and Comic and I have decided already on what the 5 weapons will be. But there's so much more to do until then, which is why soon we'll be diving into our next big venture, Patreon Month. My Patreon requests have been piling up here, and it's time to give 5 of them the attention they deserve. It's not too late to pledge yourself, though. While I won't be getting to you for Patreon Month, you can ask for any topic you've been dying for me to cover and see it become a full-fledged countdown. Plus, you can help us get closer to that Weapons Month 5 and all the other stretch goals I've set out for myself. Or you can continue to hang out watching my videos. Either way, I appreciate the support. Thank you
On
guys
you.
for watching, and I'll see you next time for the start of a brand new marathon of countdowns.
And there we go. All caught up. So, I'm gonna be, once I get back, I'll do more of the weapons countdown. Hey, with longer videos, I usually save it for, free day. But anyway, hope you enjoyed. Till next time, like, subscribe for more. See you for the next one.